To describe Chapter Master Dante as a legend is in the eyes of many so great an understatement it borders on insult. And we finally got everything we need to bring the timeless commander to Space Marine 2 in at least a fragment of his proper glory. Naturally, any build attempting to capture Dante's glory will focus on power, speed, resilience, and of course, style, utilizing his fabled power axe and Inferno pistol, and will be taking advantage of every tool we can squeeze into the assault class to bring him to life. For those who just want to see the build and try it for yourselves, here you go. And for those just interested in a more detailed explanation of how the build works, the time will be in the description. And for those who need to see the build in action first, we've got plenty of clips to showcase its many tools battle against nearly overwhelming odds.
Pay no heed to its lurking shadow. We are the hunters here. supports still require preparation. Emperor demands your purgation! To meet out. I feel a storm coming. The monster beckons it.
With armies of Tyranids, even flying ones, chaotic monsters from the deep of the warp, and a mighty hive tyrant laid at our feet, I hope you'll agree this build has the tools to take on just about anything the game can... Anything the game... Uh-oh.
May the Emperor damn this unholy abomination! Attack! Press the assault! Unleash your wrath! The Imperium's light has never graced this place. Malevolence tears at our spirits, brothers. We must find a way out of this foul place. Rally to the hint of light. I am led to salvation. Now I shall have that beast's head. The demon's foul limbs are prime targets. Beast's vile appendages give it a combat advantage. Its tentacles are ruined. Set sights on the demon! The beast employs wicked deception! Stay in cover until the barrage ceases! Shrouds itself in arcane armor. Will this grotesquerie never end? Stop those vile traitors from reviving the demon!
absolutely shouldn't survive that fight on our own. Not without every resource we have available to us and every tool we have stuffed into this build to buff our damage resistance, counter, stagger, keep up our dodges, and blast the beast back when it gives us a precise moment to fight back. For our first core perk, we'll be utilizing Armor Reinforcement. This has to be one of the best perks Assault has for survivability, restoring an armor segment anytime we land a gun strike. This build will not only massively boost the effectiveness of our gun strikes, but it'll also put us in plenty of positions to get them more frequently. For our second core perk, we'll be utilizing Auxiliary Arsenal to begin the path to making our Inferno pistol feel as close as possible to Dante's fabled Perdition, incinerating swathes of enemies with ease and getting us back more contested health per shot. For our third core perk, we'll be utilizing Perseverance. Our Power Axe has a lot of tools in its arsenal that are coded as heavy or held attacks, most notably our Power Backstep and our Overhead Strike. These tools are important pieces of the combat flow for this build, and Perseverance will not only give you a hefty damage resistance, but also prevent you from being staggered out of them by most enemy attacks. For our team perk, we'll be selecting Proven Efficiency. Alongside other perks, it'll improve the effectiveness of our gun strikes and the overall fun factor for our Inferno pistol. And for our first gear perk, we'll be going with Hammer of Wrath. Every time we utilize our jump pack, we'll gain another hefty damage resistance and cover us with additional stagger resistance too. For our second gear perk, we'll be utilizing Wings of Flame. Normally I stray away from this perk, as it can be a bit finicky, and many of the builds I use tend to focus on other things. But the Dante build is designed as much for swiftness as it is for fury, and if you put the time in to master this perk in conjunction with the next two, it can be an incredible complement to a fast-moving power axe, buffing our gun strikes and getting plenty of them. You'll almost feel like you're playing a whole different game. And for our final gear perk, we'll be going with Aerial Grace. This build frequently has us in the center of combat, right where Dante's legend would lead him. Using our jump pack to effectively dodge attacks will feed back into several parts of the build. Our jump pack used damage resistance, instant armor regen from a follow-up gun strike, and now a damage boost as we leap back into the fray. And finally, we'll be taking Commitment as our signature perk, instantly recharging our jump pack whenever we score those perfect dodges to keep our swift and brutal combat style rolling. As for your weapons, we go with the Relic Power Axe Beta for its high speed stat and it being a fencing weapon. And we'll start off with Perpetual Speed. It's already a fast weapon, but the Power Axe had a lot of floaty animations that you can't generally just dodge out of. And getting our attacks out all the faster will help this build take advantage of all the tools it has to offer. From there, the natural next step is Confident Stance. Stagger resistance can be key to keeping yourself out of a bad situation, and our post-parry power stance is like a crossroads to the many other offensive and defensive options this build takes advantage of. So having a bit of extra poise to get to those options can be a big help. We'll naturally continue on to Perpetual Strength, and detour down to take the second Perpetual Strength here too. There are technically a few other options we could reach for at the end of our build here, but none are as consistently useful as the extra damage at all times. Next, we'll continue on to Patient Stance. It's a nice little boon that prevents your contested health from decaying while you enter your power stance after a parry, allowing you to get more back from your follow-ups if situations are dire, but more importantly, it leads into the next perk. Power Strike, which will boost the strength of your gun strikes even further when you enter your power stance after a perfect parry. This will of course stack with the 50% boost for gun striking after a perfect parry that all classes get, and your 30% boost from Proven Efficiency. After Power Strike, we'll naturally transition into Power Wave, and move further down to Tactical Retreat, further boosting both the damage and area effect of our Power Backstep, one of our key moves at any time we enter that power stance crossroads. Then we'll certainly want to transition onto Cleaver, which will buff our damage by a further 10% against every enemy in the game other than Minoris enemies. And lastly, we'll dial back to Endless Slash. giving us increased pressure by chaining heavy attacks into themselves, and hefty crowd control even on a low cleave weapon to help us manage hordes. As for your Inferno pistol, it's my strong recommendation to go with the Relic Ophelian Liberation. I know it's a pretty drastic difference in ammo economy between the two relic weapons, and the increase in magazine size of the Galathamor Crusade might seem like an appealing option too, but that extra range and especially that extra fire rate go a long, long way to maximizing the destructive capabilities of your Inferno pistol on a build with very few other ranged options. As for its perks, naturally we're going to be focusing on boosting its damage even further, starting with Divine Might. This will lead us to another important part of our overall build, Motivated Melee, which will increase all of our melee damage by a further 20% just for having an empty magazine. We'll continue the natural course to Great Might to get another little boost against the game's toughest targets, and then move down to Perpetual Range to give the weapon just a little bit more reach, so we're less likely to lose our gun strikes after a power backstep or a jump pack dodge. Next, we'll contend with some of the weapon's ammo economy issues by taking an extra 20% reserve from Increased Capacity and Adamant Restoration, which will give us a few clips of ammo back in a pinch. We'll also take No Fear while we're here, to help us quickly reload when we need to vent as much ammo as possible as quickly as possible when circumstances are dire. And lastly, we'll take Extra Shot. With this setup for the weapon, you can vent all 3 shots basically as fast as you can pull the trigger, getting the maximum possible burst damage out of the weapon to either clear hordes of enemies or stagger or just plain incinerate a tougher target, and now empty, gain the benefit of that 20% melee boost from our earlier perk. This isn't the objectively hardest hitting build in the Imperium, or even necessarily one you can pick up and play with ease. But it takes advantage of almost everything the Assault class has to offer, the many combat styles and benefits you can pull from your power axe, and the raw destructive burn and AoE of your Inferno pistol to give you a massive list of tools that will help you counter almost any situation the game will put you in, and honestly bring a rare sense of survivability to the Assault class. As an added bonus, make you look and feel cool doing it. And if you decide to give this build a try, please don't be discouraged if it doesn't feel right away. Even in making this video, I actually learned more and more about all its capabilities, and it absolutely took me time to be able to put them all into practice. From using our power backstep as a dodge to hefty double gun strikes and tricks to make our perks more consistent across different types of encounters, it has a lot that it can offer you with the right time and investment. Pulling off all your tools the right way at the right times is immensely satisfying, and again, makes you look and feel cool while you're doing it. But either way, thanks all for watching, and if you do give it a try, I hope you have as much fun with it as I do.